packing digital goodies out there, please take a moment to make them quiet before we do. Please silence all electronic devices. Ladies and gentlemen, TCEA 2013 is about to begin. Please be seated.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Thursday General Session. This is a time we set aside to honor our special guests, as well as those friends and colleagues who have made significant contributions to the Texas Computer Education Association. These are our family members, including TCEA's founding father, Dr. Jim Perot, past presidents, and past executive directors. They are all leaders that have dedicated their time and passion to this organization, and we would not be where we are today without their foresight and commitments. Carrie Murphy, President-elect, will now call the roll.
Each year, we recognize those whose vision and leadership have guided TCEA to be the outstanding leader in educational technology that it is today. Please join me in recognizing our leaders. Dr. Jim Perot, founding father. Alice Kidd, honorary past president. William Denton, Lindell Hutcherson, Sandy Pratcher Gehring, Vicki Smith Bingham, Dee Dee Height, Jenabeth Bogard, Donna Cooper, Carol Melnick, Dee Goldberg, Daryl Ann Burrell, Bill Martinez, Don Melody, James Welms, Kathy Kaufman, Ann Mine, Dr. Jackie Shepperson, Dr. Kay Abernathy, Rick Martinez, Dr. Cherie Halderman, Marion Pearsall, Lori Lusk Gracie, Sherilyn Phelps, Barbara Brown, Janice Trompler, and again, Marion Pearsall, Dr. Steve Rainwater, Joan Gore, Carrie Ray Murphy, Jeff Hightower, Candace Threadgill, and Lee Sleeper. Then our TCA past and present executive directors include Robert Knight, Dr. Jeffrey Fletcher, Dr. Alice Owen, Dr. Ron Cravey, Joan Gore, and our present one, Lori Gracie. First of all, thank you, all of you, for taking time out to come today to celebrate with us and celebrate in your accomplishments in your past and present and the accomplishments that have made a difference in TCEA. We really appreciate that. And then I want to also recognize our present president, Carla Burkholder. She has served this past year tirelessly. She has put quite a bit of work and involvement in the years that she has been with us, and it's because of her work and her teamwork, bringing her team together, that we stand here today being the organization that we are. Thank you, Carla.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to introduce today's session sponsor. Thank you to Absolute Software for sponsoring today's session. Peter Frankel, the Vice President for Lifecycle Management, has a few words to share.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having us, and welcome, everybody. I just want to give a brief introduction to Absolute Software and then turn the program back over. Absolute Software has been doing business in Texas for almost 20 years now. We're a company that's been around in the school arena, and we've been particularly involved here in the state of Texas. So we started in 1993, and we had a major breakthrough in the mid-2000s when we actually became persistent in all the computing devices that you use. Dell, Lenovo, HP, to name a few. And I joined Absolute Software in 2009, almost 3 years ago, when my company, LandRev, was acquired, which now became Absolute Manage, which is designed to change the way we manage our mobile devices. Mobile devices have really taken over in both education and corporate, and Absolute Manage helps us manage these devices. This has been a big year for us in the past year, 2012, as we've also acquired another company called Lifetime for service desk management to bring the whole picture together. In order to really manage the mobile landscape, what we've decided is you need one console to manage all of your devices, and that is really the theme behind Absolute Software, and that is what we stand for today. So what we've done is we've taken this explosion of iPads and Android devices and Windows mobile devices, and we've given you one umbrella to manage all of them. In the past, in order to manage these devices, you've needed multiple different consoles. You've had to sit in front of one device for your PCs, one device for your Macs, one device for all of your mobile devices, and then service management was yet another console. Now with Absolute Software, you can have one console for all of the above. The thing that differentiates our software is the fact that we are completely platform agnostic. No matter what platform you're working on and no matter what platform you're managing, you're able to manage those devices through Absolute Manage, CompuTrace, and now Absolute Service. I would like to invite everybody also to visit us on the show floor. We're at booth number 1952, and you can register for a complete demo in your facilities of our software and also a great gourmet lunch and learn. Thank you again very much.
Thank you, Absolute Software and Peter Frankel. Chef Jeff could have easily become another statistic. Instead, he learned from his mistakes and became not only a top chef, but an inspiration to many. It was in prison where Chef Jeff found his passion for cooking. After serving nearly 10 years for a drug conviction, he used his street smarts to make his way up from dishwasher to executive chef of Cafe Bellagio in Las Vegas. His story was first told in the New York Times best-selling memoir, Cooked: My Journey from the Streets to the Stove, which is being adapted into a film starring Will Smith. On his Food Network show, The Chef Jeff Project, he takes 6 at-risk youths under his wing to teach them culinary arts skills and to give them the chance at a new life. His mission is to give back and help others reach their full potential. And because he does this so often and so well, thegriot.com distinguished Henderson by naming him to its illustrious Griot's 100 History Makers in the Making, class of 2012, which honors African Americans for the positive contributions they are making in shaping the futures of others. His story is truly one of hope and inspiration. Please join me in welcoming Chef Jeff Henderson, New York Times best-selling author and America's most inspirational culinary star.
Finally tonight, our person of the week. He's an ex-convict who's the first to tell you he is not proud of his early years. But after turning his life around, he's cooked up a way to reach troubled young people and give them a chance.
When I first went to prison, I pretty much felt that I was done. I was finished. And I blamed everyone for my shortcomings. But it wasn't until several years after my incarceration when I began to value education. I began to accept responsibility for my past, and that planted the seed for change.
And what a change Jeff Henderson has made. He has gone from crack dealer to prison inmate to celebrated chef. His love for cooking started in a prison kitchen.
I used to be the omelet man in prison. The basics of cooking in prison is a little different from most restaurants. You don't have the 6-burner stoves or the saute pans. We made sure that we were putting out a great product, you know, for the prison population. Food is one of the most important things to a person who is incarcerated.
But cooking for inmates and then after release convincing a fancy restaurant to hire him were two very different things.
I had to diffuse the prison stigma. I had to make the felony jacket disappear. You know, I had to straighten up the way I walk. You know, I had to clean shave my face. I took makeup to cover my earring hole up, and I learned to smile.
He started as a dishwasher. Eventually, a mentor at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas took a chance on Jeff, and 4 years after getting out of prison, he was an executive chef at Caesar's. For many cooks, that might be enough. But Chef Jeff wanted more. He wrote a best-selling warts and all memoir, started a catering company, and is now the star of the Chef Jeff Project on the Food Network.
With garlic, herb,
It's
potatoes.
not your average cooking show.
I'm gonna be your preacher, a chef, your father.
I wanted to create a show that changes lives, inspires lives, and motivates lives through the power of food.
That's what this Chef Jeff Project is about.
I was able to take 6 young people who come from diverse backgrounds, gangs, drugs, homelessness, dysfunctional families, and create an opportunity for them. Does this look like what I showed you?
If they all make it through Chef Jeff's 6-week culinary boot camp, he'll provide them with scholarships to a cooking school.
You guys with me?
Yes, sir. Prison saved my life. You know, I was rescued from the streets. But I hope these young people can make the change in their life in society today without having to go to prison and take that journey that I had to take.
But Chef Jeff hasn't forgotten his brothers still inside.
There's a lot of people who've been in prison who's successful out there. They just don't talk about it. I talk about it.
I know for the rest of my life that I'll be giving back, trying to fix the wrong. I'm not proud of what I've done in my former life. Today, I do truly believe that it's my responsibility.
Tears a day, huh?
But it's also my passion. You know, besides cooking, I truly believe it's my calling to touch the lives of people who feel they have no hope or have no potential to be successful.
And so we choose Jeff Henderson. He told us his favorite dish to cook and eat is something he calls friendly fried chicken. The name of his mentor in prison, by the way, another inmate, was Friendly Womack. And you can find Chef Jeff's recipes, including that chicken, by logging onto our website, abcnews.com. That is World News for this Friday. I'm Charlie Gibson, and I hope you've had a good day. For all of us at ABC News, have a good weekend.
Wow. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Good. How you guys feeling today? All right. First of all, I want to say I am extremely excited to be here with TCEA today. And the main reason is because my passion for education, my passion for teachers, my passion for students, to really try to get them across not just the state of Texas, but across this country to really understand the value of education and technology. You heard my story. Been to prison, learned to cook in prison, grew up in prison. Made a lot of poor choices in my 47 years. A lot of poor choices. A lot of poor choices that many of our young people in your class, in your school, in your community make. And I'm here today because I want to share my story, the story of the power of potential. And I believe that no matter how frustrated we get, no matter what challenges that we're faced with in our daily jobs and our daily lives, I believe that everyone has the power of potential. Everyone has the ability to become what they desire to be. But the challenge with young people today, discovering their potential and what they love to do and what they were born to do, is someone believing in them. But most of all, them believing in themselves. Young people don't have dreams. Many young people don't have dreams. Young people who do have dreams are inspired to dream because they come from a community, they come from circumstances that allow them to dream because they're exposed and they've had opportunities to learn and grow as a young child. Well, when I was growing up as a little boy, that's me, the dreamer. The little boy with the thick, Coke bottle thick glasses on at the age of 7, who didn't grow up in a family that valued education, who saw, heard, and experienced many things that young people should have never experienced or saw or heard as a young child. But standing here on this stage, I can say to you, at the age of 7, I knew there was something different about me. I knew I had a little voice inside of me that said that I can become something. That little voice made me believe or to think that I wanted to be somebody, which was fueled by my life experiences growing up in poverty in South Central Los Angeles, 83rd and Normandy, who grew up in a house with my mother who raised my sister and I, and my father divorced my mom at the age of 2, who didn't go through the rites of passage, who didn't have the experience of growing up in a house with a mom and a dad, who never saw marriage work as a little boy, who never saw a family function with middle-class values. So what sparked my dream at the age of 7, as a little boy riding a school bus through the suburbs to get to school, sitting on that bus looking out of the window next to my sister at the beautiful homes in the suburbs with the manicured lawns, with the big, big trees on quiet streets free of gunshots. That was my dream at the age of 7. The one day to be able to live in a house with my mom and my sister, a big house on the hill with a white picket fence. I wanted that little piece of grass in the yard that I could say that was mine. I wanted that basketball rim over the garage door. I wanted that double-door refrigerator. So when my sister and I woke up in the mornings, we had choices for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I dreamt of the fruit bowl sitting in the middle of the table like middle-class families have. I wanted that. I wanted that Maytag wash machine and dryer for my mom so she didn't have to go stand in line at the laundromat down on the corner. That was my dream. My dream was fueled by poverty. It was fueled by watching my mother come home many a nights and drinking herself to sleep, frustrated because she can't get ahead, frustrated that my father cheated me out of having a dad. But it wasn't my father's fault because my grandfather and my great-grandfather cheated them out of fatherhood. So my father could never teach me. Many young fathers could never teach their children, their sons, how to become men, how to become responsible, how to take care of business, how to do the right thing when you've never been trained, because we're not born knowing how to be fathers. We're not born knowing how to be upstanding, righteous people in the community. So our mindset is shaped and dictated by what we see, hear, and experience on a daily basis. So that dream I had as a little boy on a school bus never left. And at that period in my life, I wasn't interested in education. I never got school. I never got mathematics. I never got English. I never really was able to connect with history or social studies. And the reason why is because, not taking nothing from my elementary school teacher, Mrs. Scarborough, but Miss Scarborough could not connect the American dream to education for me. It's not her fault because she didn't grow up in the hood. It's not her fault because she didn't experience the lifestyle that millions of young people across this nation have experienced growing up. But in order for students to hear you, in order for you to hear me, you have to know me. And teachers have to know who they're teaching, their customer. The diverse group of students who come from various demographics, various lifestyles. And sometimes we wonder why little Leroy, Shaniqua, Manuel, or Becky Ann, who may grow up in a trailer park, who came from poverty as well, the young Latino person who may have came across the border with his grandparents, or the young homeboy in the neighborhood who grew up on welfare in the projects. Many of us can't connect. But we have to be more culturally intelligent, culturally educated, so we can show the young kids. We can connect the young kids to the American dream by saying, if you focus on mathematics, technology, history, social studies, here's 20 bullet points of careers that you can have, and you can make this amount of money. Because when you come from poverty, the only thing we think about is money. The only thing we think about is the next meal. The only thing we think about is our mother coming home tonight. Is she going to get beat? Is she going to have money? Or the light's going to get cut off? Or are we going to get evicted from where we live? So how can we expect young people to come to class for 6-7 hours and embrace something that is so foreign to them, something that education that's not reinforced when they get home? And I tip my hat to all of you educators, because you guys have an extraordinary job to do. You have been placed with the burden of educating this nation. But it's difficult sometimes when you may not have all the tools or understand all the different various cultures and subcultures within those cultures that sit before us. It's so important to be able to connect the dots. So when you can connect the money, when you can connect the American dream, when you can connect success, power, wealth, and access to education, young people begin to look at it different. Because remember, we view the world different. And when you come from poverty, you have blinders on. And when you have blinders on, those blinders don't allow you to see the value of education. It doesn't allow you to see the value of information. But as a little dreamer, whose mother told me, my mother, at the age of 7, my mother told me that I was the man of the house. And a lot of single-parent mothers tell their sons, when there's no man in the house, that you're the man in the house. So when you tell a little boy that you're the man of the house, can you imagine the burden that you put on the young son's shoulders? And we all know that connection, that lifelong umbilical cord that connects the boy, the son, to the mother. We love our mamas. Mothers love their sons. It's something, that relationship is unbreakable. And when a young boy sees his mother crying, frustrated, struggling, when a young boy's mother tells him you're the man in the house, subconsciously we act out. We move to action. My mother moved me to action to help her at the age of 7. I took a newspaper route. I became the #1 newspaper boy in my neighborhood. I used to sell candy on the candy route. #1 candy seller. Would give my mom all the change to help with the bills and little things. I didn't have time to focus on school. I had to make money. I had to survive. I had to help my mom. I had to help my sister. So I learned the basic traits of business and communication and relationship building, the value of a hardworking dollar at a young age. But it was my grandparents who were very instrumental in my life. It's the grandparents who are very instrumental in many of the students that you teach every day in their life. My grandmother was the most beautiful, sweetest person I ever met in my life. And I picked up on many of the traits that they taught me indirectly, including my grandfather. I come from 4 generations of entrepreneurs. My grandfather used to pick me up on the weekends and take me to work with him, to clean toilets and change balusters in fluorescent light bulbs, fixtures, at the age of 7, 8, 9 years old. He didn't say, grandson, do you have homework to do? He took me out to work to make money. But there's something else my grandfather taught me. And it's something that I'm not proud to say, but I say it because I need you to understand how I went to the dark side. I want you to understand why many of your students go to the dark side. Why it's hard for them to listen. They have no attention span. Why they're disrespectful. Why they don't seem to want to do the right things. And they're hard scrabble. They're unfocused. They're unpassionate about life. And why we have a generation of killers, a generation of gang members and criminal mentalities in so many of our young people. Well, my grandfather taught me how to steal. He didn't say, grandson, this is how you take the money out of the wash machines at the laundromat. No, but my grandfather had keys to all the laundromats in Los Angeles because he was the janitor. We cleaned them. So as a little boy who stood over here at the door and saw my grandfather with his Royal Crown bag that we used to keep marbles in, take the money out of the machine and put them in the marble bag, take them home and roll them up in paper quarter rolls, he inadvertently taught me how to take. So I began to steal from my grandfather. Then I began to steal lunch tickets at school. I began to take whatever I could get, extra lunch tickets, so I can get extra fruit, extra little brownies and different things like that. Because the only thing I really remember in school growing up, the only books that really connected to me was James and the Giant Peach and Curious George. Now, I don't even know if those books are still in the system. But it must have been that big peach that James lived in, with that juice running out, because I never had peaches growing up. That was something that you may have got at the dentist's office or the doctor's office or some fancy smancy event that you may have went to. James and Giant Peach and Curious George. I was the Curious George. I was a little boy who took the back of the radio and the TV off because I thought people were there. I was a little boy who always talked too much in class when teachers would say, oh, here comes that little Jeffrey with that mouth of his. Marcus Buckingham, a hero of mine who worked for Gallup poll, who studied the world's most effective leaders and managers for 18 years, talked about in his book, The One Thing You Need to Know. He said when young people bring report cards home, parents focus on the bad grades, the failures of the students in class. But where they get A's and B's and excel in, no one puts extra time, effort, and money into what the kids are good at. So it was like, what I was good at was in drafting. In junior high school, it was the only A I ever received because it was something about that 45-degree angle table with the pencil and that little device is connecting the dots. I got an A in that, but no one paid attention to that. Everybody focused on what I failed at. So discovering your gift, being able to identify talent and potential in students is so important so we can push them in the areas that they do well at and then manage around some of the areas that they don't do well at. Well, nobody saw the fact that I was a little boy with gift of gab. I had the mouthpiece. I was charismatic. I was a relationship builder. I was a seller because I sold papers and candy and things like that and how I made a living. But as I became a teenager, I became addicted to money. I became addicted to the baller, suburban, successful, wealthy lifestyle. I became addicted to the house on the hill with the white picket fence. I became addicted to the men in the neighborhood who have fat pockets of money, jewelry on. They had all the gadgets and trinkets of wealth and success. And I wanted that. I wanted that house on the hill. I wanted that refrigerator. I wanted that fruit bowl. I wanted that washing machine and dryer from my mom. So I made a decision in high school that I was going to become a drug dealer. But I wasn't going to become an ordinary drug dealer. I was going to become an extraordinary drug dealer. Well, how was that? What's extraordinary about a drug dealer? Nothing's extraordinary about a drug dealer, a person who sells drugs, because that's not a good thing. And I apologize for the mistakes that I made and the wrong that I done. And I'm not going to stand up here and victimize myself and say because I grew up in poverty, I sold drugs, that was the only way out. No, that was what I chose to do. What many young kids chose to do because it brings instant gratification. So from K to 12, when we're trying to convince our young kids the power of education, the importance of vacation, the importance of technology, the importance of going to school, being on time, reading books and stuff, that has a delayed gratification picture to it. So when you grow up and not having and you're a have-not, it's difficult to wait on the promise. So I started selling drugs, marijuana in high school. Eventually, in the mid-'80s, I started selling crack cocaine. But one thing about me, I never wanted to go to jail. I never wanted to get in trouble. So what I did, I studied the most successful drug dealers. I studied their strengths. I studied their weaknesses. And I figured out a way how I can corner the market in Southeast San Diego, where I used to sell that drug. I built a strong customer base. I built strategic relationships with individuals from every neighborhood in the city. I'd never been involved in violence. I never carried guns. I never even had a fight when I was on the street selling drugs. And I knew there was no, I just couldn't embrace gangs because there was no money in gangs. My addiction was money. My addiction was the lifestyle. And I became a millionaire drug dealer at the age of 19. And I never used drugs in my life. I never smoked cigarettes, marijuana, done cocaine, heroin, meth, anything. That dream as a little dream of the little boy, it never left my mind. But what many drug dealers don't see, they don't see the impact of drugs and gangs and criminal lifestyles on the next generation to come. Just like the older drug dealers who I saw sell drugs, get fat pockets, get the cars, get the gadgets, get the trinkets, they inadvertently taught me, just like my generation inadvertently taught the next generation. And this is why I do what I do today. This is why I'm in prisons and high schools and juvenile facilities all across the country, teaching the power of education, connecting education to the American dream, identifying the talent and the gift in so many of these young people that sit right before us. So in 1988, I was indicted by the federal government. I was blessed. I always say that I got a rescue from the streets. I didn't get arrested. I spent nearly 10 years in federal prison walking on concrete every day. 2,000 inmates. First couple of years in prison, I was in denial. I was a blamer. I dealt the victim card. I blamed the government, my community, the homeboys, my mother. I blamed my father. I blamed everyone but myself. But it wasn't until I accepted responsibility and I began to hold myself accountable. But it just didn't happen overnight. There's no magic wand to changing. There's no magic wand or no aha moment to having a personal transformation. There's seeds that have to be planted for everything that we do. And there was an older gentleman in prison who gave me my first book that I ever owned in my life. Was in prison at the age of 27. The first book that I allowed somebody to convince me to read, not scan through the pictures looking at the little monkey who was so curious or the big juicy peach. It was a book called Black Men, a book that spoke to African American males, a book that taught me about African American culture that allowed me to build my self-esteem up because for the first time in my life, I saw people that looked like me who were powerful, who were intellectuals, who were thinkers, who were creative people in every industry in the world. And I was like, they didn't show me this in school. I didn't know that I could become that. I didn't know that I was smart. I didn't know that I had the ability to be whatever I wanted to be. My dad never told me because he didn't believe that he could become. My mom never told me, patted me on my back and said, son, you could be anything that you want to be. My father and so many fathers out there who don't embrace their sons because many young children who were born in poverty were never wanted. We were accident babies, drug babies, hustler babies, military babies, sugar daddy babies, gadget and trinket babies. That's the challenge that we're working with every day. When you have young students whose mother is only 14, 13 years older than the student. It's a byproduct of that environment. So when we talk about the pipeline to prison, from the schoolyard to the prison yard, these are the seeds that are planted early on in these young people's lives. The seed was planted for me at the age of 2, and I wound up in prison. But I turned to prison into Federal University. See, you have people who do time, and you have people that let the time do them. And as I begin to read the book, Black Men, Obsolete, Single, Dangerous, the blinders begin to come off. I begin to see myself different. I begin to see the world different. I begin to think different. I begin to analyze everyone around me. I begin to analyze my mom and my dad and my grandparents and the homeboys and society, the government, everything. It was like I was reborn again. And I stopped thinking about getting out. And I built strong relationships with some of the most brightest minds in the prison yard. I was in the federal system. I was in there with Ivan Boesky, Michael Milken, the Junk Von King. I was in there with federal judges, presidents, CEOs of multi-million-dollar corporations, hedge fund traders, multi-billion-dollar counterfeiters, IRS agents. Some of the most brightest minds in America in the federal system. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. See, they took their freedom, but you can't take a person's intellect. You can't take a person's genius from them. You can't. And see, it was a Wall Street guy who I became friends with who said, Henderson, you're a smart guy. What do you mean? Nobody ever told me I was smart. I don't even know what the definition of smart is. He says, when you was on the street, you understood marketing. You understood branding. You understood the bottom line. You understood how to manage people, a diverse workforce. You had best practices that you lived by when you was on the streets. The same traits that any successful organization, individual has. Managing people, managing a bottom line, building a brand, marketing the brand, building relationships, developing great teams of folks. That's what I did. No one ever taught me. It came natural for me. But he said, Henderson, all you got to do is change the product. And there's no stopping you. But when he said change the product, it wasn't changing the product from what I was selling. The product was me. Changing the product. Went to school in prison. I earned my GED. I earned 27 different certificates. I was a sergeant of arms at Toastmasters in prison. It's a photo of me speaking 23 years ago in prison. Little Jeffrey, the little boy who talked too much. The little boy who was a charismatic candy seller, the charismatic newspaper seller. No one ever said, well, that boy got a mouth on him. He has a PhD in gift of gab. If someone was able to connect the ability to speak and to communicate and talk to the American dream, maybe I would never became a drug dealer. I learned to cook in prison. I got fired on my job. And the punishment was being in the prison kitchen washing pots and pans. Who would imagine? Where other inmates saw a punishment, I saw an opportunity. So working in the prison kitchen, you get the extra bananas, the extra chicken, the extra pastries, and I'm like, hey, this is the place to be, up in the kitchen. So I started to learn. And for the first time, guys started patting me on the back and saying, Jeff, the biscuits and gravy was off the chain. The baked chicken was seasoned so good because I just didn't season the top skin of the baked chicken. I went up underneath the skin and seasoned underneath the skin. So the flavor marinated deeper into the chicken. I never cooked in my life, never dreamt of becoming a chef, never dreamt of becoming a speaker. My dream was very shallow then. It was just a house with a washing machine and dryer, swimming pool, basketball court. A very narrow dream. Was a selfish, personal dream. But when I started getting praised for the food, it felt good to be praised and pumped up for something good. Then what happened, I started to really see myself as a chef. I started to believe that I could become a chef. I saw myself in the chef coat. I saw myself managing kitchens like I did in the prison. I saw myself in the house on the hill with the white picket fence. Because I teach today, if you can see it, you can be it. If you put it in the universe, and train that little voice inside that says, I can do this. And you got that fire in your belly. You're disciplined. You're laser focused. And you think it. You could become that. And I really started to believe that. So in 1996, when I walked out of prison, after nearly a decade, I built a relationship with one of the top black chefs in the world. Robert Gatsby worked for Thomas Keller at Raquel in New York, Checkers in LA, Joe Robuchon, Alain Ducasse, all Michelin star, white tablecloth, French-trained chefs. Well, how did I get next to this guy? I went back to my old way of thinking. Just like I studied the best paper boys. I picked up on the selling traits of the candy sellers. I studied my grandfather's strengths and weaknesses. I studied the most successful drug dealers. And I duplicated them. I became the copy king. So I went back to my old way of thinking. I said, how do I become a chef? I have to go amongst the best chefs. I had to study the best, go amongst the best in the business. So how was I able to get in being a convicted felon? I had issues when I came home from prison. So this guy, Robert Gatsby, became my mentor. He became my coach. It took me 30 days to get a job working for him. 30 days, knocking on the door, asking him to give me that second chance, to give me that opportunity. I had to build relationships with the best and the brightest. This is Paul Bocuse, the #1 French chef in the world, standing next to a convicted felon with no formal culinary education, who never read a cookbook at that point in his life, who's prison taught, street raised. I got next to him at the Ritz-Carlton in Marina Del Rey. I paid my dues because I know that in order to become the best of anything, you have to put in practice. You got to be the first in, the last out. You have to outthink, out-strategize the competition. You have to go amongst the best. So how was I able to beat out my competition cooking for wealthy people in Bel Air in Beverly Hills, California? I offer my services for free. I told the client, you pay for the food, you pay my staff, you get Chef Jeff for free. That's how I got access to powerful people, because I wanted to show them that I'm bigger than just a convicted felon, that I can cook, that I'm the real deal. So when you put in the time, when you put in your 10,000 hours, like Malcolm Gladwell talks about in Flat Liars, and then Robert Greene in Mastery talks about the 20,000-hour rule. When you put in so many thousands of hours, it brings you to a level of mastery. That's why Steve Jobs was a master at what he done. Bill Gates, Michael Jordan, Oprah Winfrey, they paid their dues. Michael Jordan spent his whole summer shooting three-pointers. When everybody else was at the nightclubs partying, having a good time, he put in his time and practice. Well, that's what I did. I used to work for free. I tell the employer, instead of a 90-day probation, give me 30 days. Let me prove to you that I'm worthy and I'm capable of the job. Because I had to reach a level of mastery. Because everything about me had to say brand, brand, brand. Everything about me had to be extraordinary. A convicted felon, an African-American male who never been to culinary school with a prison GED with 27 certificates. That's all I was armed with. So when I tell young people, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what your story is, where you come from, what hand you was dealt in life. If you can see it, you can be it. So my biggest challenge, thank you. My biggest challenge, my corporate challenge, how do I get into the best hotels like the Ritz-Carlton, the Hotel Bel Air, L'Ermitage, Caesar's Palace, and the Bellagio, being a convicted felon? I had to build a brand because that 16138-198 number, federal FBI number, would be with me the rest of my life. So I had to make the felony jacket disappear. I had to straighten up the way I walk. I had to clean shave my face. I took makeup to cover my earring hole up. I had to learn to smile. But before I could smile, I had to get my grill fixed. Look at that. Almost $8,000 investment. Because I learned early on it takes money to make money. The brand creates access. So when I looked at the boys in the corporate world, at the Bellagio, the world famous Bellagio, all the men, when I did my recon, see, I go on recon missions before I apply for a job. I study the place. I study the people. I go to the interest for the employees that come in and out. I build relationships. I go to restaurants. I build friendships. I talk to people. Who's the boss? Who's the chef? What type of food do they cook? All the information I get before I go in and I apply for the job. So I had to learn, I had to straighten up so many different things. You know, I've been cool my whole life. I'm Chef Jeff, and you know, I got my suit on and everything, but you know what? I'm still cool. You know? This is how I used to walk back in the days, like some of your students. Like somebody shot me in the leg. I've never been shot. So I couldn't walk into the Bellagio like that. I had to get my occupation swagger on. My Fortune 500 company stroll. So I had to straighten up the way I walked, pull my pants up. Yeah. Nobody was sagging in the lobby. You guys want to see my corporate walk? Took me some time to master it, but a lot of practice. I tell these kids, you got to practice to be the best. I had to get me some corporate Johnson & Murphy shoes. Get rid of the Chuck Taylor All-Star Converse. Started getting my hands manicured. Went and got the same eyewear, the top chefs in the world, the same chef coat. I improved my vocabulary because I began to read some of the best culinary books out there. Read books every day. I have over 1,000 books at my home. It's mandatory for my children to read. And I eventually became an executive chef. Yes. And here I am at the Bellagio, star power, diverse group of chefs from all over the world, culinarians. And I got there in 2003. I became an executive chef running a $30 million a year operation with a prison education. Yeah. And I ask myself all the time, you know, is this real? It happened. And I sacrificed a lot to get here. I've been sabotaged on jobs. I've been paid $20,000 less than other chefs at the same capacity at restaurants and hotels before. I was shorting on bonuses by $8,000 than other chefs who didn't have the experience that I had. But it never was about the money. It was about the information. It was about the access. Because once you get the information, once you get educated, You can name your own price, your own meal ticket. And that's what it was about for me. Get the knowledge. So I became the information jacker, the knowledge hustler, the ear hustler. See, when I go to Starbucks, I go to strategic Starbucks and exclusive communities. So when I'm sitting there working on my MacBook, I meant Austin. I used to have a Dell. I'm listening and I'm figuring things out. And how I got there. And most of you in this room deal with technology, and I had a picture I wanted to share with you of me back in 1985 with a huge NEC cell phone. And that's how I connected to the world. After the beepers kind of played out, you know? And in order for me to have become a chef, I had to elevate my administrative skills. I went and bought my first computer, was a Gateway. My wife was extremely upset. I think I paid $3,500. I got it on credit. I think the interest rate was like 30-something%. I wound up paying like $6,000 for this laptop. But I had to learn because I knew in order to get there, that's what I had to do. So it's never too late. It's never too late to turn your life around. That's what Oprah Winfrey told me when I was on her show. And when she featured me on Life Class, she said, until you take your last breath. And I have been extremely blessed with my career. I'm here on this stage because of Oprah, because she gave me a platform to tell my story. When she told me that, to the world, that I was an inspiration to little boys everywhere who don't have role models. Now they have one. And I took that as a call of action. I took her show, what the base of the show was on resilience. Resilience. That's how successful people become successful. Resilience. Never give up. Never give up. And I was on Oprah Winfrey show and my phone rang and I went and grabbed my phone out my back pocket and I was so excited. This was unreal because everybody was calling me, movie companies, television companies, Fortune 500 companies wanting me to speak, and they wanted to do business deals with me, and it was like, this is unreal. But when I got the call, I said, hello, Chef Jeff. I said, hey, Chef Jeff, this is Will Smith. I said, come on, man, who's playing on my phone? He said, this is Big Willie from Philly. So then I got real cool. Hey, man, what's up, man? You know? He said, we saw you on Oprah. He says, I want to talk to you about your life story. He says, matter of fact, I know you just left the Gayle King radio show. Let me send my driver over to pick you up and bring you to Brooklyn where I'm at. So I didn't know where I was going at first, and we got in the car, we went over to Brooklyn, and it was like, wow, we went to this huge warehouse, like twice as big as this room. And he was filming the movie I Am Legend. And I was like, wow, I mean, this is cool. It was like, man, I got on, my mom was, I got home, I said, Mom, hey, I'm at the movie set with Will Smith, and, this is like off the chain. And she couldn't believe it. She said, really? She said, well, what's going on, baby? I said, I don't know. He want to talk to me. So I went up in this huge trailer. I mean, it was pimped out too, man. It was 2-story, and it had big screen TV, and it was some of his family members was there, and he wasn't there. So I was in the trailer. I was with my agent and a couple of my agents, and next Will came in 5 minutes later. Said, hey, Chef Jeff, what's up, man? I said, hey, Will. And he was just like a regular dude. He had dirty sneakers on, and his breath was a little on fire there a little bit, and I was like, okay, this guy is, he's cool, And I said, hey, what's going on? He said, hey, man, we love your story. He says, what I love about your story when I read Cooked is that there was no violence, that you was a comeback kid. And we need to do a movie that says, if you make mistakes and you fall down, that you can get up. And when he said that to me, it really got me really thinking about my story, is that I really wasn't a bad guy. Even though I sold drugs and stuff, but I never pulled guns, I never fought, I never gave drugs to kids, I never gave drugs to women. I was driven by the dream of breaking poverty and fixing my family situation. And so I had to really sit there and think about it, the comeback kid. And before I got excited and said, come on, let's do the movie deal, I said, well, the businessman I learned to become, I said, well, this all sounds good and everything, but I said, if I do this deal, I want the catering contract. Right? Why not? Give me an opportunity to hire young kids who I work with all across this country in cooking programs and juvenile facilities. I want to give them a chance. I want them to see, hear, and experience something they never had before. I want them to believe that, hey, maybe I can become a cameraman. Maybe I could become a producer. Maybe I could become a star. Maybe I could become the private chef to these people. And he says, oh, we can work that out. I said, well, there's another thing that I want. I said, I want 5 or 6 jobs for formerly incarcerated individuals. And he says, we can do that too. And by 5 o'clock that evening, we closed the deal, and he bought the rights to the story. Got a call from Food Network, got my first show on the Chef Project. I didn't want to do stand there cooking, smiling, showing off my $8,000 grill. I said, I want to take young people off the streets, diverse, white, black, gangbangers, prostitutes, homeless kids who love cooking. And I want to show them they can do what I can do. I want to prove to the world that people can transform their life, that everybody has the power inside of them. That's my attraction to the young gangbangers. That's my attraction to the knuckleheads, the hard scribble youth, the kids who don't want to come to work, the kids who put their head down on the desk, the kids who believe that they can't become anything that what the community says they can be. You see, I'm the one who breaks them out of mental prison. There's 2 types of incarceration: physical incarceration and mental incarceration. And many people from poverty, many people who are successful sometimes, we put ourselves in a box. We lock up our intellect. We lock up our brain, and we set limitations on us. Well, I bust that down. And I say, look at me. Prison GED failed all through public education. And I was able to turn it around. And that's what it's about at the end of the day. So in closing, the American dream. The American dream means different things to different people. And as educators, all of us here in this room, who I want to take a moment to honor you. Give yourself a hand. The reason why I want to honor you, and the reason why you all are the most important person to young people in this country. It's you, it's us, it's me, who have the responsibility, because of what we chose to do, is to connect everyone to the American dream. Connect everyone who sits before us. Connect them to the future. Connect them to the house on the hill with the white picket fence. Connect them to the possibilities of one day breaking the cycle in your family. And just because some children are better off than others, who come from great families and great communities and certain levels of wealth, and the ones who seem poised and promised to go to some of the best universities and colleges in America. But that doesn't guarantee the American dream, that piece of paper. Your status in society doesn't guarantee the American dream. What guarantees success is for young people to understand that they can become anything that they want to be. That they were born with a gift. Everybody was born with a gift. It may sound crazy. You know, sometimes we use the word passion a lot. Passion, what does that mean? Passion means you love to do something, you get excited about doing something. It's something that you feel you want to do the rest of your life. But passion is different than a gift. The gift is that 1, 2, or 3 little things that a person does with the least amount of effort. That 1, 2, or 3 things that a person does with the least amount of effort at a very high level is called a gift. Because a lot of us are passionate about a whole lot of things. Some of you guys are passionate about cooking, but you can't cook, right? I love to golf, but I suck at golf. So identifying the gift in our babies, in our children, whether it's through technology, information, a book, connecting the little boy, the little girl to something that's out of their reach and their vision as they see as a little person. That's what the American dream is about. Carving out your own version. There's no cookie cutter American dream. 20-something years ago, I would have never said that America is the greatest country in the world. But America is. This is a country that anybody can come back. Anybody can reach a level of greatness or success. And I'm a walking, living example. There's no script to what I talk about. I only speak about what I know. And I consider myself an expert, an authority in personal transformation. I've been there to the bottom. Les Brown once said, if you can lay down and look up, you can get up. And when we tell a young child that the sky is the limit, we need to think about that. Because the sky is never the limit when the footprint's on the moon. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys very much for having me. God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Wow, thank you. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Ooh. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Chef Jeff, for that wonderful, wonderful presentation. After the session, Jeff will be at the entrance to meet you and sign his book. And as you venture into the many sessions, playgrounds, lounges throughout the convention today, I want to remind you of the Meet Your Area Director event today at 5 p.m. Each member is represented by a TCEA board member that serves you locally. Your area director hosts local events, including robotics contests, and there is an additional resource for you. Stop by the event to find out what's going on in your area and how you can get involved. Also, each area director is giving away an iPad mini to a lucky winner from his or her area, so you don't want to miss that. And don't forget, tonight is the social. The theme is Highlight the Night, and it is a must-attend event for this week, so we hope to see you there. And now, once again, the next stars of the show, Holly and Holly with the door prizes.
Are you ready for some door prizes? We're going to start today off with an Android tablet from our TCEA partner, Engaging Solutions. You'll go by booth 1529 and a ticket, thank you, a ticket with character. This is going to go to Tammy Lawson, Prince of Peace Christian School.
She here?
Come on.
She here? Tammy?
Tammy,
Tammy miss a tablet?
Android tablet, let Tammy know.
She missed out.
Do we need to be present to win? All right. Sorry, Tammy, we voted. Amy Kidder, Bridge City ISD. That's what I'm talking about. From Attainment Company, booth 407, we have a Go Now iPad case. That's going to Kate Steffer from Harlingen Cons. Thank you. Carolina Biological Supply, booth 405, one-year subscription to Lernetic Middle School whiteboard activities. Lisa Noe, Centerville ISD. I hear her. Brain Pop, booth 1717, one-year combo subscription going to Carol Melnick, retired. Carol. Woo! There she is. Lucky, lucky, lucky. Spectrum Industries, booth 2411. Black adjustable chair with arms. And you can't pick it up until Friday morning. This is Marja Armida Trejo. From somewhere ISD.
She here? Oh, there she is.
Is Marla here? Check your name tag. Allo Software, booth 1940. We have a Kindle. Stacy Lucky Matheson. Not Lucky Stacy.
Oh, wait.
Come on, give me a little something, Stacy.
There she is. There she is.
Okay, Lucky.
There you go.
Safari Montage. We have booth 929, screen cleaner and a $10 gift to Starbucks. Jeff Lewag, Galveston ISD. See. Another Safari Montage, booth 929, screen cleaner and a gift card to Starbucks. Stuart Berkowitz, Austin ISD. Check his name tag. Capstone, booth 2247. This is a Capstone interactive library, ebooks valued at $100. Rhonda McGinnis, Kerrville ISD.
There she is.
Yeah. Atomic Learning, booth 1635. Black t-shirt, never can have enough. And a 6-month subscription for online professional development. Stephanie Russell, Petite ISD. Yay! Whee. Wiz Education, this is 30 seats, free 1-year license to MathWiz Tutoring Plus. Booth 2528, nice character, thank you. Eric Howard from Manor ISD.
There he is, right there. Come on. You have to holler.
Come on, give me a listen. Yeah! It's like Price is Right, but you've already won. Digital Scholastic Library Publishing, booth 2244. 1-year free subscription for a single school for Freedom Flex. This is bringing history to life. Thomas Raphael, Aldine ISD. Thomas? Do you need to be present to win?
Yeah, okay.
Done. Kelly Guston from Magnolia ISD.
There she is.
Woo! All right. wrote in red on a red ticket. Thank you, Christy. Britannica Digital Learning, booth 1247. 1-year subscription for each student and teacher in one school. For Image Crest, Christy Hernandez. Sorry, Christy. Ashley Nelson from Richardson ISD.
There she is.
Oh, we got a Christy? Well, Christy.
That's okay, we'll give him the next prize.
Red pen on a red card. We'll have some rules next year.
Well, we'll give that person something.
Yes, Ashley Nelson.
Since we drew your name.
Since we drew your name. Learner Publishing, booth 529, 6 free interactive books, your choice. We have Tech for Learning Software, booth 723, 5-pack of Tech for Learning Software package, and that goes to Kelly Randall from Arlington ISD. Kelly.
Here she comes.
You're coming, yay! VoiceThread in booth 2527, a 1-year K-12 school license. This is 100 seats. Joyce Cartwright from Region 11 Service Center.
There she is, I know Joyce.
Woo! All the way in the back. Vernier Software, booth 2567. $100 Vernier Software gift certificate goes to, no character, no character, no character, flat. Tanya Briggs, New Boston ISD. Tanya?
No character, she didn't get.
No character, oh. No.
Here, another no character.
No character. I like them when they're crumbled and turned. And so we're going with Vernier Software, $100 software. Nancy Oderly at Brenham ISD. Yes. EPAC in booth 1143, EPAC teacher subscription for service to April 2014. Katrina Johnson, Burleson ISD. I see her. Live Air Networks in booth 1852, $500 gift certificate for professional services and necessary travel. You may want to go back and give this to your network director and make a new friend. Monty 10, Region 4 Education Service Center. Monty.
There we go.
Elaine Schumacher, Beaumont ISD. Elaine. Inspire ED, booth 2450, 2 digital thematic units plus companion student files. Cora Huggins from Centerville ISD. I got a Cora? Yes. And last but not least, Caliphone International, booth 1454. These adorable tigers, pandas, and bear, oh my, headphones.
Don't call it out yet. Hang on, don't call it out yet.
Okay.
Remember, tonight we have iPads to give away. We have iPad minis. We've got $100 gift cards. We've got Best Buy gift certificates.
Multiple $100 gift cards.
We have lots of stuff, so make sure you come to the social tonight.
Yes. And the headphones go to Chrissy Bryant.
No? No, Chrissy? Here you go. Nobody ever wants you to.
Sandra Hines from Burleson ISD. Thank you. We'll see you tonight.